Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to another edition of APAC Dialogue. We have with us today Rachna Dave. She is the CEO and founder of MicroGo, and we would hear from her about the MicroGo solutions and services and their business strategies and the way forward. Briefly, APAC News Network is a media organization headquartered out of Noida with a pan India presence and presence outside across Southeast Asia and the Middle East. And we focus on technology deployment across governance, healthcare, education, BFSI, and manufacturing and the likes. For today's discussion, Rachna, my first question would be if you can introduce yourself and then take us through the genesis of MicroGo, how it came about, and then we'll take up the next questions. Over to you,
Sure,
Rachna.
sure. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be on this platform. About MicroGo, we started the company in 2016, and I have a PhD in microbiology, and I joined BRC, which is Bhabha Atomic Research Center, as a staff scientist in 2008, and I worked there for around 8 years. Working on different issues in power plant, which is around biofilm, biofouling. That basically make sure that the power plant runs because it requires water as the source for the turbines and to finally produce power. So that's where I started getting a lot of interest around biofilms and to solve problem around that. And of course, my doctorate was also in applied sciences, so I have been always very fascinated about developing products, developing solutions which actually are applicable to the humankind, or it helps businesses to run better or whatever. So these two aspects, which is biofilm antimicrobial solutions and at the same time applied solutions, is was something that kind of intrigued me. And in 2016 is when I resigned from my position at BRC and started MicroGo. And the name itself tells you MicroGo, we are around hygiene and infection control solutions. When we started the company, the idea was only to kind of provide right science right science to the customers or to the users. When I say right science, let me give you two examples. For example, hand hygiene. Hand hygiene makes sense only and only when the right process to perform right hand hygiene is taken care. What is that right process? If you are in healthcare, you have to perform the 6 steps and you have to do it for 20 seconds while using alcohol based hand rub, right? There is an entire science behind how that actually works in healthcare and why this process is so important. So that is the right science to perform hand hygiene healthcare. Let's say when you come to performing right hand hygiene in food industry, the process is you have to first do a water wash, then you have to dry your hands, then you have to use an alcohol based hand rub, but every time follow the 6 steps: 20 seconds of cleansing, hand drying, 20 seconds of alcohol based hand rub. That's when you get the right output for food industry. So initially we were only fascinated and we thought that yes, we provide technology or the product which actually assures you the right practices. That's how we started. But immediately, you know how it is. R&D is a long process. It's not that today you envisage an idea and tomorrow it's in the market. There is a research and then there are regulatory involvement and there are so many other things that happen. So and that is when you really need to work very closely with the customers so that you understand what the customers basically require. So when we were doing this, this is what we understood, that right science is good, the customer likes it, wants it, but remember, we are here, we are fighting the invisibles here. You cannot see the bacteria, you cannot see the virus. I always jokingly or try and convince people and tell them that look, the honorable prime minister talks about the swachhta, the kachra that people see. कूड़ा कचरा आपको दिखता है, इसीलिए it is very, you can tell them that hey, you don't even have to tell the housekeeper, he will come and clean it off because you can see. But we work on the kachra but nobody can see, and that is why it is now little difficult, even not for us, even the hygiene managers or the infection control nurse, to kind of implement in their particular organization. So there is a big lack of accountability problem there, because you cannot see the problem. And to solve the accountability, we brought in a digital hygiene, integrated digital hygiene into a solution. What that does, it brings in accountability, किसने किया और सही तरीके से किया कि नहीं, ये दोनों चीजें सामने आती है. So yes, our solution actually provides you the right practices. With technology enablement, we actually can now tell you that people are doing it right or wrong. And third, there was another problem, because जो चीज दिखती नहीं है ना, उसको हमेशा खर्चा माना जाता है. It is always thought as an expenditure, कि यार क्यों लेंगे, चलेगा. So what we did, we consciously brought in lot of sustainability parameters into our solution. Why? Because when you have a sustainability, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, the customer actually can find out that, hey, look, buying this or investing in this machine or investing in the product actually saved us a lot of stuff. We saved money, or we saved water, or we have reduced our operational costs, which basically helps you in your bottom line. So that is our entire genesis. We work with two industry, healthcare and food industry, food manufacturing industry to be precise. And all our products, not only, or most of them, some of our work in progress, not only provide you a sure science, but at the same time provide you digital enablement, and at the same time provides you both operational as well as environmental sustainability. So yeah,
Okay,
that's
thank you. So, what I would like to understand now, when you are talking about digital enablement of these solutions, so one, a little more detailed on the working of the solution, and typically their use cases across healthcare and the food manufacturing industry, which you are saying. And the second part, when you were earlier mentioning about the three pillars on which, so the second pillar, especially regarding the hand hygiene, I would presume after the COVID thing, that has become out of necessity more a hygiene, and more hand hygiene was there earlier, but practiced maybe specifically in healthcare or some sectors, but now this has become more mass. And also, as a result, your third clause, that people looking this as more a cost center kind of thing, perhaps that perception has gradually started changing. So, what's your view on that? And if you can talk us first through the use cases and a little about the specific solutions that you have.
sure. Let's take to the use cases first in healthcare, right? So what we do in healthcare, we kind of approach healthcare. Let's only stick to hand hygiene for this for now. Let's Why hand hygiene? First, because it is the primary defense for anybody, for an individual or for any organization. If you need to keep your place healthy and hearty, your hand hygiene has to take care. I mean, has to be taken care. Interestingly, 60% of hospital acquired infections are via hands. So it makes lot of sense for us that we wanted to enter into healthcare, we wanted to enter with hand hygiene. Of course, now we have other products to, kind of solve the problem to the entirety, but we started with hand hygiene. So we have four solutions there. By default, all our solution provide you right practices. So it will assure you 20 seconds of hand hygiene. It will coach the 6 steps. It will take the data that Rachna and Mr. Sandeep, we were trying to do it. Did you do it right? Did I not do it right? Okay. All the machines at the four areas where we work in, one at the entry. When the user, the healthcare worker, the relative, the patient, they enter the healthcare premises, the SOP says you need to perform hand hygiene and then only enter. So that's one. Second is pathogen handling areas. Areas where lot of pathogens are being handled. The SOP says every half an hour or after every 1 hour you need to default perform hand hygiene. That is another our P version, okay, of the machine. Then there is a protocol for ICU entrance. When you are entering into an ICU, you, me, healthcare worker, the housekeeping staff, the doctors, the healthcare providers, they need to perform and enter. That is an SOP. And fourth SOP comes when you are near the patient, which is called the patient bedside. And there is something called 5 moments of hand hygiene when you are near the patient bedside, which is after entry, before performing an aseptic procedure, after performing an aseptic procedure, after touching the patient's surrounding, after exit, before exit. So these are the 5 moments. This is just near the ICU bed, and at every ICU bed this protocol needs to be followed. So we have four different solutions based on the same platform for all these four areas. Now all these machines are connected via IoT, right? And the machines are programmed according to the SOP. So the entry machine will be programmed only for the entry. The pathogen handling area will be programmed for every hourly time interval. ICU entry is programmed by every entry. It has to recognize that if I have entered today 10 times, 8 times I performed hand hygiene, 2 times I did not. And ICU, whenever I'm near the patient bedside, how many opportunities I had when I was near the patient, and it kind of captures that data. And all the data, these machines talk to each other. So Rachna will be timed at wherever Rachna was. And opportunity for Rachna will be, gathered, sent to the cloud, and then it reflects on this hospital's portal where they can actually find out what was Rachna's performance against the hand hygiene opportunity that she acquired during the day or during the month or during the year. Against that, how many opportunities against that opportunities, how many times I perform hand hygiene. But look, we are scientist sort of people. We understand just merely doing it is not enough. Doing it right is what makes sense when it comes to infection control. सही तरीके से करना और करने में बड़ा फर्क है. तो फर्स्ट पार्ट इज करना कि आपने किया कि नहीं. 80 opportunities for me to get today. Did I do 40 times? My compliance is 50%. Very simple, straightforward. But in that 40%, how many times I did according to the protocol is what is important. So that data is also given. So we go deep down there. So that is one use case when it comes to healthcare, right? When it comes to food industry, the SOP is little simpler, but the SOP is little extended. You have to do it cleansing, hand drying, and as well as alcohol based hand rub. Then only you enter into the kitchen. That is at the entry of the kitchen. And within the kitchen, also the SOP says that within an 8-hour shift, if let's say a chef is there or a help is there or a sous chef is there, the protocol says every hourly you need to perform hand hygiene, and according to the three, cleansing, hand drying, and alcohol based hand rub or disinfection protocol. So what it does is the SOP is defined for every worker within the kitchen, okay, and the machine basically alarms it because kitchen is a very noisy area, right? One, it is very hot, at the same time it is a noisy area, so the machine beeps every hour or every 30 minutes, whatever the client wants. Some clients are very sensitive towards this, so their protocol will be alarm for half an hour. Some clients will do it for an hour. So for example, if I am in an 8-hour shift, and I have to do every hourly, the machine will beep every hour. Rachna will go to the machine, identify herself, get herself identified by an hand hygiene badge that we all wear, and then perform the hand hygiene. The data is again collected, sent to the cloud, and is again reflected on the dashboard for that particular, kitchen. And the hygiene manager can basically track what is happening and what is not happening. So that's
Okay.
one of the use case. Yeah.
So now my question is, it sounds very interesting, but the way you have defined the SOPs, the way you mentioned, and I'm presuming in both the cases, both for the patient bedside as well as for the hospital kitchen, the data needed is real time. uh,
Yes.
in kitchen you're maintaining. So it's real time data, and ultimately, to gain some actionable insights on it, you need to apply certain analytics on the data. Otherwise,
Yes.
just gathering data will serve no purpose.
Yes.
I will have
Yes.
data, but I can't take any action on that. So,
Yes.
how do you achieve that? Taking that actionable insights so that you can apply some analytics. And since you are getting the real time data, so are there any technology constraints in terms of, can be anything from connectivity or bandwidth to certain other issues like kitchen you mentioned, it's there are a lot of disturbances there. So are there constraints in gathering that real time data? And the second part is, how do you apply the analytics on that?
Yes. So analytics is used. So we have a platform, and we ask the customer during the SOP deciding stage that what is the analytics they want. For example, a typical customer or typical need would be, I want to first understand, out of my 10 staff, what is the average hand hygiene compliance percentage. Second, who are the top 5 performers. Third, what is the consumable usage rate. Fourth, is there, there is a threshold for every customer. Every customer applies a threshold that for me 90 to 100 is okay. If it goes below 90, how many times it went below 90, it should be sent an alarm. So we have these basic analytics that has been applied. And of course, if somebody wants to go deep down, like there is a one customer who has a different, very different requirement. His requirement is, it's a diagnostic laboratory, a pathology lab, and their phlebos, right? So the phlebos SOPs, every time I come to your house, let's say I come to your house today for blood collection. The SOP in the pathology area is, or this business is, that every time I come to your house, before touching you, I must perform hand hygiene before touching you. Because I possibly have come from other patient, I possibly have touched hundred of different places, my bag was used by somebody else, the bag is already containing a lot of cross contaminants, possibly there are samples inside it. So the deal is very simple. I need to come today and I need to first perform hand hygiene, then only touch you. So what we do for this particular customer is, this particular customer gives us all the details at the end of the day, that this is how everything happened today. We provide the data based upon the analytics for this particular customer, that Rachna as a Flebo today visited 28 places or 30 places, entry and exit, before touching the patient and after performing the job. Did she perform hand hygiene or not? And that particular data is sent to the customer as well into their phone, that hey, look, today this Flebo came and he or she actually performed the hand hygiene compliance. That data goes in. Coming to the second question, and which is actually something we learned over the time, we were always relying on the Wi-Fi of the customer. So the customer has a Wi-Fi, we will kind of use the Wi-Fi for them. But then what happens is, sometimes the kitchen is in basement, or kitchen is in one corner of the the food industry, or the ICUs are in a, it's an hospital, and some of the ICUs are in a very old constructed vertical of the building, and the Wi-Fi will not will catch there, or the data will get lost. So what we have done now is, all our machines are now inbuilt internet access, one, so that we don't depend on them. Not that because they cannot provide, but it's just a time wastage to get those things done. And secondly, all the units, because even if sometimes you provide an inbuilt Wi-Fi access, internet access, data losses can happen, and these are SOP data, you can't afford to lose one. So what we do is, we have an the all the machines locally store up to a particular unit of data. So let's say 100 number has been saved. In any case, the data has been lost. It saves locally. When the internet is back, it is all the data is again pushed to the cloud, so that we don't lose anything. Which is so important for monitoring and other activities.
Okay, got it. So that sort of takes care of that. Another point which I'd like to understand, again, the SOPs were quite well defined, but what I can understand from it that can't always be like modules. There are individual customizations required in many cases for different customers. But my question is, you had the predefined SOPs, and since you started in 2016, these were in the pre-COVID times.
Yes.
In the COVID atmosphere, a lot of new SOPs got defined.
Yes.
So, how did it integrate with the pre-existing SOPs, and how the things worked out
In fact,
during?
it did make our task a bit easier and difficult both at the same time. It became easier because now there is a lot of awareness. So initially we were only banking on saying that, hey, look, we had to prove and tell every time that, look, if you perform every hourly, this is the result that you are going to get. Now we don't need to prove. It became easy that sometimes to an extent that the customer say, look, we want to be very careful and we don't want hourly, we want to do 30 minutes every 30 minutes. So initially the users were possibly doing 8 hours. Now they do 16 hours a day in their entire shift. It became easier that way. So that was a change in pre-COVID and post-COVID because they became very stringent. But at the same time, they became very careless also. That people are tired. So this was last year. This year things have again come back to normal. Last year we saw that tiredness, like we just don't want to even hear about hand hygiene. Thankfully, we are not only a hand hygiene company. We do water, we do surface, we do air, we do a lot of things. But they became so tired कि मैडम 2 साल से सिर्फ हाथ ही धो रहे हैं. You know, अब कुछ और नया करेंगे. So it was easy at the same time difficult. But this year is good. This year, people, the normalcy has come in. The pre-COVID sort of things have come in, and that is why we only work at two places: food industry, and that too we work at food manufacturing. We work at the food service, but there also we work with the five-star hotels only. We don't work at the catering. We don't work with restaurants because there we will not be able to create any value. It is going to be a difficult sell. It is mostly like adding value. But when it comes to food manufacturing, there the end quality product is very important and customer satisfaction is, very very important. There we create value, so we are there. Similarly, in hospitals we mostly, while we have many products, but we see that the traction is mostly in the ICUs or at the liver transplant, the critical areas, right, where any surgical site infections or any infection for that matter is very very detrimental for the businesses per se. And that is where we are only there because there again it creates value. So there you don't have to talk a lot, they understand it, and it becomes little more easier compared to the other places where you can be.
Okay, so now coming more to the business part, since you're mentioning about the areas, so one, I'd like to understand a little what is your go-to-market strategy, and who are both in healthcare as well as in the food manufacturing, who are some of your customers?
Yeah. See, a go-to market strategy definitely is, I mean, frankly, it was initially word of mouth. Now definitely is we meet customers obviously, and we never go saying that, look, we have this is what we have, this is the list of the product, or this is our catalog and please tell us. No, we are not that company. And to an extent it is not healthy. Somewhere customization is something that comes to our heart because we feel that's how we will be able to create value for the customer. So we go with the entire plethora. We are mostly like, we have a saying in the company: we go to the customers to buy problem from them. We don't go to sell any solution. हम उनसे खरीदने जाते हैं. We go to buy problems from them. So we go there. We understand how their operations are working. We do an audit also, and complimentary audit where we kind of understand what are the lacunas. We come back to the lab, analyze their entire situation with the microbial swab analysis, or what are the other SOPs that they require. Post that, we create an what we call it as a standard operating procedure along with their quality control. Understand, look, sir, this is what we want to require, and then see if we can align our products with them. Or if not, if we don't have something, we find that if there is some other vendor who can do it. Because our objective only to is to create value for our customer, not to just sell whatever we have. We are not that company. We will never be that. So that is mainly our vote, and that is where the word of mouth is really working well for us. If you have worked with us, you will, they will vouch for that how passionate we are about creating a value for that particular organization rather than adding one. And when it comes to some of our, for example, in food industry, we work with customers like the Taj. The Taj Group is one of our customers. The GRT Group in Chennai, in South India, which is a very strong group when it comes to food, is our customer. Murugan Idli, again a South Indian chain, is something that we work with. We work with a lot of export houses in Gujarat, like Mama Foods and Vangi Foods, and these are all export-based companies. CRCL, Central Kitchens, like here, so we work with them. So these are some of the companies that we work with. The Radisson Hotel, for that matter, in food industry, and in healthcare, Apollo Hospitals, Sims Hospitals, the Chettinad Hospital in Chennai. Some of the names that are on our list. So yeah.
Both these industries, the healthcare and the food manufacturing, which you're working, these are two highly regulated industries. So
Yes.
there are a lot of compliances which are very specific to those domains. How do you ensure that the solutions or the SOPs that you have defined for your
Yes.
solutions, they are conforming to those kind of compliances?
Perfect. But that's why we are not into, we always work with them and they have their own SOPs. We integrate that SOPs into our solution. Because every time an SOP has been built, it has been built by that organization based upon their experience, based upon the need of that particular organization, whichever compliance they are following. So we don't come in into any of those. We sit with them, analyze, get that SOP from them, and then integrate that SOP into our machinery, so that it everything becomes very digitalized in nature. So that's how it kind of does not add any burden to the industries that we work with.
Thanks. Got it. So the last question would be obviously going forward, what are the key focus areas in terms of newer solutions, expansion plans? How do you, what are the plans?
Yeah. So definitely, so this year onwards is when we have started very aggressively into our sales and marketing strategy. Till last year, it was mostly like word of mouth. The marketing activity was very low. This year onwards, it is very aggressive that way. We are really trying to touch more bases, reach out to more and more customers, and so that is there. When it comes to newer areas, definitely swimming pool is something that we have started working towards a lot. A community swimming pool is something post COVID again that came to us as a surprise, like how there was this revenge tourism. लोग बहुत घूमने जा रहे थे, उसी तरह swimming भी बहुत चल रहा है. And when the swimming is happening so much, we are getting lot of inquiries from the hotels or wherever we are getting that there is a lot of issues around that. And if we, so we, as I told you, we work a lot with water disinfection, water hygiene. So one of our product is really working well there, and we are seeing very good results, very good kind of acceptance in that market as well. So that is a place that we are, kind of working hard. We are also trying to focus on air hygiene. That is something that we have again been asked by the customer, that this is one area which is a little gray, and there is no way to even no solution which is kind of helping them out at a small scale. Sometimes it can be for a very large scale, but for a 250 square feet facility of a dental practice, you have nothing. So that's where also we are trying to enter and working out, but these are at the very initial stages. We are kind of working it out there.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so
Thank
much. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Pleasure.